Straight up dealer time, everybody. What's going on? Apologies. Reboots galore. Lost power again. I knew it was going to be bad. I knew it was going to be bad in my area. When I went out the other day, right after the storm, it was like the day after the storm. And I literally went to the beer distributor and I was getting ice. And a fella said to me, so how long are you out? And I had no idea what he was talking about. I was fine at that point. We only lost power for a minute or two with the storm that happened. And then we lost internet. We lost cable for a while. But that came back. And I didn't know. I felt bad. And then plus I was like, is this stranger going to ask to come over to my house? I also didn't know what the hell he meant. How long are you out? I'm like, running errands? I literally said to him, I got to go to the grocery store after this. He's like, no, power. And I'm like, oh. And then at around 4 o'clock this morning, we lost power again. And then I come down here and my computers are basically giving me the middle finger. But either way, kind of like the Phillies did last night. But anyway, kind of like Ace Bailey did yesterday, as a matter of fact, in his media session. That was terrible. If you haven't seen it, Ace Bailey, many other draft picks, future draft picks, are addressing the media. And they're answering questions about their future, where would it be like to go here, where would it be like to go there, all that stuff, right? And Ace Bailey, for anybody that has jumped well off the Bailey bandwagon, he didn't do himself any favors. It was like he witnessed a crime, and people were asking him about it, and he didn't want to say anything that would get him in trouble with the people that committed the crime, that kind of thing. It was like, dude, you could just answer these questions. And he had a stock answer that he repeated multiple times, which was, it's all about basketball. It's all about playing basketball. I just want to play basketball, that kind of thing. And it was like, well, playing, why didn't you work out for the Sixers? Hey, man, it's all about basketball. I just want to play basketball. Yeah, but working out for the Sixers is basketball. And he was like, I just want to play basketball. And then when somebody started asking a follow-up, somebody else jumped in like they were hired by Ace Bailey's agent or something, and they just shouted down that next question to ask him something stupid that really nobody gave a damn about. I'm telling you, out of the gate, I'm going to just say this. I have never felt more sure about not drafting a player than I have been about not drafting Ace Bailey, which is exactly why the Sixers need to take Ace Bailey. That's how I feel about this whole situation at number 3. Being flat out honest with you. I feel like, as I told you yesterday, and I've had this thought throughout the entire process, well, really since the cancellation of the draft, pre-draft workout, I look at Ace Bailey and I just go, the potential that is there, I cannot pass that. If I'm Daryl Morey, I can't pass that up. So he didn't want to work out. Fine. So he canceled a workout. Suspicious. I can't pass up on the talent that I think he's going to be at the NBA level. And yes, has every red flag shot up. And has he then put flares on those red flags? That's what it felt like he was doing last night. He basically bedazzled the red flags to make them more noticeable. And I'm still like, yeah, all right, I don't care. Just do it. I don't care. It's all about drafting the player that you think is going to be the best NBA player that is available to you at number 3, and that's the player that I think is best player is going to be on the board. Guy's going to have the best NBA career. He's going to be available there at number 3. Just do that and just move on with it. Hope all this is just the business side of things. I think the Sixers have tried to play the game as well, because as I said, nobody is releasing that VJ Edgecombe was nervous other than the 76ers. Nobody else is saying that. I certainly think the Sixers let it out there that VJ Edgecombe was, the apple of their eye going forward, just to entice Ace Bailey to come in and work out. They got at least the workout scheduled. And then Ace Bailey, according to my man Keith Pompey, Ace Bailey's camp said, you're not going to draft him at 3. You got to guarantee him to draft him at 3 if he's going to work out for you. And the Sixers, to their credit, that's what the workout is for. We're not just guaranteeing it. So this game of cat and mouse, if you will, maybe even a little bit of a bait and switch, which was played by both sides, I believe. The Sixers with VJ Edgecombe to try to lure Ace Bailey. And Ace Bailey said, yeah, sure. Oh, wait, no? Okay, fine. I think it goes back and forth like that. But I had my red flags about Ben Simmons. I had my red flags about Markelle Fultz as well. and I said, you can't pass up on the talent. I'm not going to pass up on this talent because of the other two guys not working out here in Philadelphia either. I'm going to keep on doing it. Yeah, I'm going to keep on making the same mistake. And here's the other thing. You're looking at also different general managers. Daryl Morey has drafted well. The guys that he's drafted have done well here in Philadelphia. And those have been later round picks. Those have been 20th, overall picks. I see a Sixers team right now that needs to turn the page. And I do think Ace Bailey is a great place to start. And if the Sixers are really out on that idea, if everything that has gone down has really swayed them away from the Ace Bailey bandwagon, then the situation, I think that it might be the next best for the Sixers. Even maybe even more so than drafting even VJ Edgecombe at number 3 would be, you got nothing next year. And here's what you got. You got 2 contracts on aging veterans, injured aging veterans, that are pretty hard to move. You're going to need as many draft picks as possible. So maybe you trade back, you still get a younger player in this draft, or you still get a decent player in this draft, and maybe you add to the assets that you don't really have any of in next year's draft. Maybe you roll the dice again on next year because this one ain't working out. The reason I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen is because I do believe that Daryl Morey is on the hot seat here. It ain't just lukewarm anymore. He's the guy heading it up when it came to James Harden. Didn't work out. He's the guy heading it up when it came to Paul George. Doesn't look so good right now. And he's the guy that also gave another extension to Joel Embiid when he didn't have to do it. So, yeah, I would say that he's not even just on the lukewarm seat, but the hot seat. So we need someone to come in here and win and do something to help you win now. So the trade back scenario, I don't think is one that happens. Now, I think the ultimate scenario here, one of the best possible scenarios that could work out here that is likely, that has a little bit of likeliness to it, I will say it's a non-fantasy, is that the 76ers see Ace Bailey, or they talk to the rest of the teams in the league. Ace Bailey could slip down there to 7 or 8, maybe to 5. Maybe you have a small trade back in that situation for someone that wants to go up and make sure they get VJ Edgecombe, or somebody that maybe get Trey Johnson, and they end up being able to trade back. I think for the Ace Bailey people that don't like Ace Bailey, and certainly I'm in the realm of, you just got to take him. You got to take him. You just have to in that situation because he's the best available. The skill set, I think, translates to the NBA tremendously, grows into the body, so to speak. For guys that don't really give a damn about the off-the-court stuff, the drama, if you will, he's cut and dry. The guy that has the potential to turn into the best NBA player of anyone that would be available at number 3. So I feel like your back's against the wall in that situation, unfortunately. But I think what would make a lot of people feel better is if the Sixers are able to get Ace Bailey somewhere after the 3rd pick. Look, that's going to be 5. That could be 7. Looking at what the Brooklyn Nets have at 8. Looking at what the Utah Jazz have at 5, small trade back could give you a little bit more insurance on what Ace Bailey does in his rookie year. So to sum it up, I'm going against everything. Right now, everything tells me do not draft this guy. Do not draft this guy. All the stuff that has taken place. Watching him last night, he came off terrible last night during this media session. And it just continues to highlight the red flags. And I'm just going, yeah, I didn't see as many red flags with other guys, and it worked out terribly. I'm seeing a lot of red flags with this guy. Maybe it's just, maybe they're just due to hit on a draft pick. It makes no sense. I'm trying to explain something that really makes no sense whatsoever. The only thing that makes sense is the guy can play. It's the only thing in all of this that makes sense. And tonight, with the 3rd overall pick, Adam Silver's going to go up there, a little envelope. He's going to do the read, and he's going to say, Ace Bailey, and I'm going to be happy about what the future is going to hold for the 76ers. Because here's what it's going to become about. If Ace Bailey really is all about the money, and it's not just about, I just love basketball and just hear my name called as a blessing, which, by the way, he stuck with that explanation last night as well. if it's all about the money, well, this is the place you can get the biggest bag, as the kids say nowadays. And it also happens to be a place where I feel like he can really show off his skill set. Because as I've maintained, if he's not just about the money, but also all about the minutes, and he's all about the ability to grow and the ability to look like the man. If his agent is looking at Joel Embiid, well, they have Joel Embiid. If his agent is looking at Paul George, well, they have Paul George. And then they have Tyrese Maxey. Where's Ace Bailey get his minutes? Where's Ace Bailey get his numbers above all else? I would say, look, I think it's adorable that you think Joel Embiid's going to play a lot of games this year. I think it's adorable. You think Paul George is going to take away from this kid growing when Paul George has been banging the drum for this kid to come to Philadelphia. I think it's adorable. You think Tyrese Maxey can't be a selfless player because he certainly can be. I think that's adorable. But I'll tell you right now, Joel Embiid ain't playing that many games. And when he plays in those games, he's not going to be that good. And even if he is playing really, really well, you just wait for the next unfortunate thing to go down. Now, Daryl Morey can never say this to anybody because that getting out would be horrible. That'd be like a damn near burner gate type of situation. Eric Jr. type of situation. But Ace Bailey coming here, he's going to get minutes, he's going to get numbers, and he's going to be able to grow his game. The question is, when you look at the other failures that the 76ers have had, you go, do you really want to waste a pick on a guy that you don't think has it right between the ears? And with all the excuses being made about, it's his camp, it's his agents, it's his whole camp, whatever. Well, like you look at his family, they played basketball at a pretty high level. I think they'd have a good understanding and been in enough circles where you might know a better way to approach this, especially if it is really all about basketball and all about winning. What you hope in all of this is that Ace Bailey is just going through this time. His camp is going through this time to work out the best possible scenario on draft night and then set him up for his career to, have a great career and make a lot of money. Well, the place that could happen is here in Philadelphia. It's an East Coast. I almost said school. It's an East Coast team, East Coast franchise. Get a lot of attention here in Philadelphia. And I think him and Tyrese Maxey could do great things here in Philadelphia for years to come. It also doesn't. And look, by the way, I know some people have talked about VJ Edgecombe. They've talked about Trey Johnson. They've talked about Quentin Grimes and how you might have a backlog when you're talking about guys that can handle the ball, guys that can attack the basket, guys that can essentially kind of be a two guard or a guard, with Tyrese Maxey. Quentin Grimes is not holding up my plans for drafting anybody for the future. And I like Quentin Grimes a lot, but I don't look at it and go, well, I can't take that guy because Quentin Grimes. He's not. He played great down the stretch for the Sixers. He was one of the few things worth watching at the end of the year. But he's not like, oh, we got to make sure you got Quentin Grimes. I'm not in that school. So I know some people have talked about that. I am not in that school. So for me, I think you just keep it simple, keep it about basketball. And if he's the best player available at that spot, you draft him. And then you start building. Simple as that. Your Philadelphia Phillies. I cannot, by the way, for more on the Sixers, me and Keith Pompey are going live at 10 o'clock this morning on Locked On 76ers on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel, so check us out there. I don't think I've ever watched a game and then had a complete opposite opinion of what the manager was saying after the game. Last night, I hated the Phillies' approach. They lost 1-0 to the Astros. I hated the Phillies' approach against I was always saying Framber Valdez. And I would have absolutely pinch hit in the ninth inning for Johan Rojas. I don't know what game Rob Thompson was watching, especially on the Johan Rojas pitch that was high, where it was 2-0, and he swung at it. So even if Johan Rojas is up at the plate, which he was, unfortunately, I would have pinch hit. But being that he was up there, 2-0, take a pitch. Make him throw a strike. Rob Thompson liked the Phillies' approach last night, and he would not have had Johan Rojas pinch hit for. And obviously he didn't pinch hit for Yohan Rojas. When Josh Hader has gotten hit more by lefties, believe it or not, a little bit of a reverse splits guy in that regard. I couldn't believe what I was watching last night. I couldn't believe what I was hearing last night after I got done the postcast and I watched Rob Thompson. I was thinking, I did the whole postcast on, I hated their approach, and I hated the Phillies' approach in the first 4 innings of the game when Valdez was really struggling, and they were jumping early in counts. Nick Castellanos still swinging at the first pitch. They had left 6 runners on base through the first 4 innings of the game, and a lot of that was because they just weren't patient for a guy that was losing the strike zone. As wide as the strike zone was yesterday, and tall and low, that he was losing it, and the Phillies weren't doing anything to capitalize on it. And then after the game, I listened to Rob Thompson. He's like, it was good. It was fun. And then I'm like, how about Yohan Rojas taking a hack at that pitch? I actually thought it was 2-1. It was 2-0. So it would have been 3-0. And he's like, well, that pitch was a ball anyway. Or that pitch was a strike anyway. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was a fastball. Give him that. So anyway, after the game, Rob Thompson addressed the media and just said everything was great.
Yeah, I thought our approach was pretty good. We weren't getting out of the zone very much early. We had opportunities in the second and third. It just didn't happen. Valdez made pitches when he needed to.
Rojas gets up 2-0 on the count against Hader there. Would you like to see him take a pitch? You know, especially since that one's out of the zone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was a strike, so you might as well waffle at it. You're not going to get too many good pitches to hit.
And I know it's left on left, but lefties have actually got Hader a little bit this year. Like, do you consider it all shooting a lefty there?
No. What game was he watching last night? Did he step out for a minute? What game was he watching? The approach in the first 4 innings in the game in particular just drove me bananas. Absolute bananas. You guys know all the time, I'm not you never swing at the first pitch. What's wrong with you? This is the big leagues. You think you're only going to get that first pitch fastball to hit. You jump on that first pitch fastball. You think you're going to get a breaking, but you jump on it. Like, these guys are professionals. I don't have a problem with it. But part of being a professional is noticing what the hell is going on. And that is, sometimes it goes into swinging at the first pitch. But Nick Castellanos in particular, swings at the first pitch, first bat, single. Okay? Later, comes up in the game. Grounds into a double play, jumping on a first pitch after Kyle Schwarber worked a walk. Alec Boehm actually had a good at-bat, but struck out. And then he grounds it into double play. Why are you jumping on these pitches for a guy that is struggling finding the strike zone? 13 pitches in the second inning, 10 pitches in the third inning. Got him up to a big old 19 there in the fourth inning. But he's struggling, and you're bailing him out. You should have been getting runs across the plate, obviously. But even more so, you should, en route to doing that, you should be looking at these types of outings where you can't find the strike zone to be 25 pitch innings, 30 pitch innings. Instead, the Phillies bail him out. That's the part that annoyed the hell out of me, because this is where, oh, wow, Valdez is struggling, and you're throwing him a life raft. You don't do that. You let him continue to fail. And instead, the Phillies say, oh, you're struggling? Let me swing earlier. Make sure I get it. Doesn't really bother me that much until it happens like last night, where you see a pitcher struggling as much as Valdez was, and the Phillies just go, oh, yeah, well, there you go. I'll have a free swing at that one, free swing at this one. We're good to go. Here's what really bothered me. 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 errors. Phillies were getting opportunities to get base runners on, and obviously did not capitalize in a 1-0 loss. And on the other side of things, Ranger Suarez is dominant. No-hitter through 5. He allows a base hit by Diaz that just hit them where they ain't type of thing. Phillies shifted over towards short, or towards third, rather. Diaz just poked it into shallow right field. That ball bounced about 1,000 times, and Mundo Sosa couldn't get over to it, and that was the first hit of the ball game. Things started to unravel a little bit for Ranger in terms of pitch count. The pitch count was insane. 50 pitches through 5 innings of work. 9 in the first, 9 in the second, 9 in the third, 12. Oh, my goodness. Was he okay? 12 pitches. He was fielding. I had this thought last night. I didn't mention during the postcast. I had this thought last night while I was watching the game. If this would have been however many years ago, it wasn't that 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. Not even with the DH. If you would have allowed Ranger Suarez to hit last night, I'm pretty sure he would have hit a solo home run. Things were just going like that for him. He was making the outs on the mound as well. Catching a line drive, doubling up a player. Almost had a play over his head as well. Then ended up not coming back to bite the Phillies in the butt, but certainly got the pitch count up there a little bit more. So maybe he's not at 91 pitches going into the 8th inning. Maybe he's still a little bit fresh, but or closer to fresh, that is. But it just felt like one of those nights where he was going to have to do everything. And if he would have gotten AB, he would have put one out of the park, baby. Unfortunately, not the case. But it's just an extremely frustrating game, especially because you had the opportunities there in the early goings of the game. You have a 2-out base runner, and Alec Bohm worked a walk in the first inning. Castellanos came up. You had runners on first and second with 2 outs. JT Realmuto grounds out to short. That was that. Second inning, you got a leadoff runner on for Otto Kemp. 5 pitches. He knew what he was doing, Otto Kemp. Good for you. Third 3-ball count of the day already. That's the first batter in the second inning. Sosa comes up. He gets a single. You have first and second. You got nobody out. Buddy Kennedy comes up. He grounds into the 1-5 fielder's choice. First and second, 1 out again. Rojas strikes out. Trey Turner flies out to left field. Jumping on the first pitch. Why? Third inning, Kyle Schwarber, another leadoff walk. Alec Bohm strikes out. Nick Castellanos jumps on the first pitch, grounds in the 6-4-3 double play. Fourth inning, JT Realmuto grounds out to short to start things off. Kemp reaches on an error. Sosa gets the double. You have second and third with 1 out. Make something happen, please. Buddy Kennedy grounds out to third on the 5-2 put out. Paredes made a great play on that. Not much you could do on that. Rojas flies out to center field. He actually worked an 8-pitch at bat. But now, at the end of that, Phillies through the first 3 innings, again, first 4 innings, 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. That's when I felt like they're not winning this game. Valdez is going to settle in, which he did. There's one other error in the game after that. He worked one more walk with Otto Kemp. You eventually were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position by the 6th inning. That time it was Edmundo Sosa grounding at a 4-6-3 double play. Just no patience, no good approach, nothing. And after the game, you hear your manager talk about what a great job they did. I don't see it. And as far as this lineup goes, so let me ask you this. Johan Rojas, if you're the Phillies, so let me ask you this. Johan Rojas is a guy that you're basically burying on your bench. Okay, he barely plays. He gets an opportunity to play, and when he does get an opportunity to play, you're asking him to bunt all the time. So that's the guy you want up in the 9th inning in a 1-run game either way, even if you're not facing Josh Hader, who does get hit by lefties. You're going to keep the righty up there? Bold strategy. And in that 9th inning, you get a runner on. You have Johan Rojas come up to the plate. Again, a 1-run game. And Johan Rojas is up in the count 2-0, and he hacks at a fastball at the letters. That's a high fastball. Even by last night's bonkers strike zone, that's a ball. And he hacks at it. Should have been up 3-0 in the count. Could have 2 runners on. Could have brought Trey Turner up to the plate at that point. Just last night was what you feared for a couple of reasons. Number one was that you wanted to have momentum after the Mets series. You wanted to keep pouring it on. And the Mets lost to the Braves last night. So you had an opportunity to pick up a game on the Mets, or really put them behind you by 2 games in the NL East as opposed to just 1. They lost 7-4 to the Braves. A very, very frustrating game, especially that there were so many opportunities. And I've heard people talk about, runners in scoring position, how much it doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, it can not matter. If you hit 3 home runs and you have a runner on first, and they're 2-run homers, then yeah, okay, I understand why runners in scoring position doesn't really matter all that much in that type of game. But in this type of game, when you're knocking on the door that many times and you can't get anybody home, well, then that's a very scary thing. Very scary, unfortunate thing, especially when a guy's coming off the bench like Edmundo Sosa, and he has started to hit again. So get ready for hopefully that another month stretch where you just see Edmundo Sosa look like Ted Williams at the plate. They got Zach Wheeler on the hill tonight trying to bounce back from this one. Colton Gordon will go for a decent pitcher, but he's going for the left-handed guy. Left-handed pitcher. He's going for the Astros tonight. Another 8-10 start time. So there's semi-late one there for the Phils. But it's just an extremely, extremely frustrating night, especially because you're coming off the high that was taking 2 or 3 from the New York Mets. That's where we're at. We're having a good time. All right, before I get into the chat check here, I do want to ask you, who's your guy? Or what's your situation? Because yesterday, when it comes to the draft, Keith Pompey and I kicked around the top 3 best case scenarios for the 76ers in the first round. Now, the caveat is there has to be some element of possibility to it. Like, for instance, Sixers trade Joel Embiid and Paul George and the number 3 overall pick. That ain't happening tonight. I don't even think the Sixers are trading Paul George in the 3rd overall pick. I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's a realm of possibility to that, really. I think this is the ride or die moment for the Sixers. So some of the scenarios we laid out, one I told you about earlier, other than just drafting Ace Bailey. One I told you about was trading back, still getting Ace Bailey and getting a little insurance in case things really don't work out. The other is drafting VJ Edgecombe, who has phenomenal. I mean, his athleticism is insane. I will absolutely acknowledge his athleticism. Defensively, he's talking about best available defender, really, as far as a balanced attack when it comes to being able to get to the rim the way he can get to the rim, being able to create his own shot the way he can do that, his quickness, his athleticism to do that. But defensively, he is a more than willing defender. So that is something that I know catches a lot of people's attention. And if we're talking about an interview process or workout process damning Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe aced his. So he's a little nervous. I can understand why that'd be a nervous setting. It's not the natural basketball. And that's even what the report said. An unnatural workout of one-on-one or an unnatural game of one-on-one. I can understand why that'd be a little bit different, especially when you know you're playing one-on-one for a job. But it's not going out there on the court and battling with 4 other guys around you, trying to beat 5 guys in front of you with a stadium packed with people. Everything about the mental aspect of the approach with VJ Edgecombe, I really like. So you'd get a guy that I think a lot of people in the city would easily fall in love with because of his work ethic, because of what you can see on the court from, because of his highlight reel dunks. And he really does remind me of, in terms of style of play, not level of play, his style of play reminds me a lot of Anthony Edwards. Explosiveness, the quick ankles, that kind of thing. Getting to the rim, working on shooting from the outside a little bit more. He can do it, just needs to be better at it at the NBA level, obviously. But I just like his game in general. One that Keith threw out there, and obviously Keith is a lot closer to this than I am. And the caveat to all this was, no, it can't be fantasy. It can't be something that there's no chance of happening. Like, I think that they trade the 3rd overall pick for a time machine, and they go and they get Michael Jordan. They get Michael Jordan. No, okay. The scenario that he put in there, I don't think it's likely, but him mentioning is kind of interesting. Sixers find a way to trade up and get Dylan Harper, because you're talking about a guy that's the best player available and also a guy that is the best fit at the same time. Dylan Harper, a point guard, coming here with Tyrese Maxey. Love it. Now Maxey doesn't have to run point. Now you don't have to be as concerned about Tyrese Maxey trying to take that next step forward in his career of improving his court vision and anticipating plays before they happen, as a point guard should. That's one aspect of his game. I'd love to see him take a step forward. But if you get a legit point guard in here already, go back to that safe zone of being a 2-guard, Tyrese Maxey. That would be the absolute best case scenario. I just don't know how the Sixers would trade up. I don't know how they trade up with the Spurs to get the number 2 overall pick when they basically got nothing in the near future. So you tell me, what is the best situation for the Sixers to be in? Let me, again, for clarity, it feels so unbelievably wrong to take Ace Bailey, but I'm taking Ace Bailey. I'm swinging for the fences. Call me crazy because it is, but I have felt less confident about the red flags of players, and they have worked out worse. So, try to hurt me again. I'm Teflon as far as that goes. Needed that. Oh, before I get to the chat check, let me tell you. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZY, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app's where it's at. And don't forget about Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff and gets right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZY, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Terms apply. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's phlsportsnation.com. How about Brett over at Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at skymotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing this fine morning. April, good morning. Low Eagles, good morning. Can't wait for the season to start. What, the Eagles? Yeah, me neither. I think I said this yesterday on this show. In a time where everyone's worried about their players messing up and finding a distraction and the troublesome time of the year where there's nothing going on football-wise and the lists come out, your quarterback writes a children's book. That's my quarterback. Sean Gillespie, hello. Low Eagles, Sixers need to step up their game. Seriously, I concur. I just feel like either way they're going to mess this up. Yeah, Daryl Morey can find those diamonds in the rough later, but what happens when you have that pick that you're not supposed to botch, that third overall pick? We'll find out tonight. Sean Gillespie, never understood why the Sixers want to playoff B. Because the Sixers still think they can win with Joel Embiid as the core member of their team. That's it. Hey, look, you want the fastest route to a championship for the Sixers? Joel Embiid's 100% healthy. Anyone have confidence that's going to happen? No? Okay, moving on. Philly Magic 365, not to sound so negative, but until Embiid and his glass knees are gone, we're not doing much. Look, what's negative about that? Is that negative, or is that all the evidence that's there leads you to believe an unfortunate outcome? Like people that say, oh, that's negative, or I get that all the time. You know, being a realist, you tend to get labeled as negative. But let's just picture this scenario for a second, okay? I'm at your house for a dinner party. Your dining room catches on fire. Do you want me to run into the kitchen while you're cooking and go, hey, the lighting, oh, it's so nice in the dining room. It's lovely. Oh, you want me to be positive, or you want me to be real and say, hey, your living room's on fire? Or excuse me, your dining room's on fire. Hey, stop being so negative. Well, okay, then the lighting is beautiful. The ambiance is just lovely. Jerry Von Skyver, what's going on? Good morning, company. Tough one last night. I was confused. Was last night's lineup considered Valdez? I was confused with last night's lineup considering Valdez does better against right-handed hitters, 210 average compared to left-handed hitters, 260 average. Stoughton Marsh hitting now. That's a good observation. A lot was confusing last night. Jeremy, I know you and I were you hit me up with the why was Rojas batting? And I agree with you. More so than that, and that's on Rob Thompson. More so than that, my biggest focus was the first through fourth innings, not hitting with runners in scoring position, not being patient when Valdez was struggling in the game, and really nobody picking up on that other than Otto Kemp in the Phillies line. Oh, and Kyle Schwarber. But yeah, that's the brain trust of Dombrowski and Rob Thompson putting the lineup card together. I don't get it. Philly Magic 365. Phillies need to draft the catcher from Coastal. to be a real replacement for JT? Okay. Picking Bailey would be a disaster, says Joe Combs. Combs? He's an inefficient one-way player who doesn't want to be here and is getting awful advice. Well, here's my thing. He hasn't worked out for anyone. That's the thing. Everyone to say, I get it. Everyone to look at him and go, look at all this stuff. Forget about it. As far as inefficient player, we're talking about an 18-year-old. We're talking about a guy developing his game at the NBA level. So it's all about, for me, potential, especially when you have a team right now that's not ready to win now. And seeing him take that next step at the NBA level. Now, where this does affect what goes on the court, all the stuff that's going on off the court, is does he have the mentality? Does he really want to win? Does he really love playing the game of basketball? Or does he just like what basketball is about to bring him? That's the big question. And everything that he's doing right now leads you to believe, oh, no, he doesn't love basketball. He loves the business side of this. He wants to make his money, and that's that. He wants to play well enough to get the rookie max. And I'll tell you this, if you're a rookie, where better to go than Philadelphia, who just gives out rookie max deals like it's nothing? Ben Simmons, for instance. Hey, Ben, you haven't improved on anything since you became an NBA player? Here's a max. Joel Embiid, injured all the time. Hey, here's a contract extension. Why wouldn't you want to come to Philadelphia if you want to make that money? Ken Sa, good morning, brother. Have a great day. God bless you, and God bless you as well. Hopefully we're blessed tonight with a good draft pick. Ken, Phillies are a decent, mediocre team above average, but doesn't cut it in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm still thinking that. Jeremy Von Skyver. No more Buddy Kennedy. All right, Sean Kilmer. We take Trey Johnson or trade the pick to Washington, who want Ace for 6 and 18. I would take that. I do like Trey Johnson's game a lot. Similar explosiveness, better outside shooter. Good length at 6'6". Yeah, I like that. I like that. Sean Kilmer. Ace Bailey throws out the first pitch in a Mets game, yeah. Nets now have 5 first-round picks tomorrow night, 8, 19, 22, and 26 tonight for the draft. They have more than enough to move up. There you go. Dance partner. Brian Pumper, nervous one-on-one at an empty gym. Come on, Farzy, what happens in a full? I've had the same thought, 20,000 fans. But again, unnatural. I get it. I understand. It doesn't freak me out. And that's one little word in a workout for a player that it just has an explosiveness that not many players have coming into the NBA. So I don't take too much into that. I don't buy too much into it. It's not a ruiner for me. Sean Gillespie, time machine is actually the Sixers' best chance. Brian Pumper, Ace Bailey, the right player. I still agree with you. Everything that's wrong about him, I'm just going, okay, yeah, all the warning signs are there. Call me crazy. I'm taking him. Lights too bright in a practice for VJ. The mommy, what's going on? Good morning, Farzi. What a heartbreaking waste for Suarez. I had a hundo on my guy. So sick. Sorry to hear that, the mommy. Farzi, Mark, I expect you to yell, fire, and risk your life like George Costanza did to find the fire exit. Push a grandmother out of the crowd or out of the way onto the ground. It is not the safest place for someone to be during a fire than on the ground. I just have one question. How do you live with yourself? It's not easy. How about Jon Favreau being the clown in that episode of Seinfeld? Sean Gillespie, Bailey needs to listen to your logic, Farzi. Right? Nets picks are terrible. What's unnatural about a one-on-one versus a 40-year-old coach? I don't know. Is that who it was against? Was he playing against the coach? They didn't have like a scrimmage player or something go up there with him or anything? I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to take it easy on him. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. How do you appear nervous? You missed some shots? Maybe that's just his demeanor. I don't know. He didn't look nervous at Baylor when there was, packed houses and all that stuff. So that to me doesn't really go crazy. The mommy, I hope they draft Bailey. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Do it. Now, sooner rather than later, I guess. Hey, look, Keith Pompey and I are going to be coming up later today. Locked on 76ers. We'll be breaking it all down. And I said this last night. Wait, hold on a second. All right. Brian Pumper. VJ was bricking for chicken. There you go. Then make sure you don't draft him so he comes here and gets us free chicken. All right. Seriously. So I've been doing the show with Keith Pompey now 5 days a week. Locked on 76ers for the Locked On Network. You guys know I've been doing a lot of stuff with them. And I can't get over the support from you guys. It's been fantastic. Like, really, that show has just taken off. And just want to say thanks for following me over there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. All that stuff. It's been awesome. I've had a lot of fun working with Locked On Sports and going to continue to do that, obviously. It's been a blast working with Keith, a guy I've known for years. And I feel like we always had a good rapport, and the response to us working together for this show has been very positive. And as you guys know, in the old digital world, that's not always the case. So I really appreciate that. And we'll be going live at 10 o'clock today. Keith is up in Brooklyn for the draft. He was there on hand for the Ace Bailey media session. That if I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it absolutely to somebody who witnessed a crime and didn't want to answer any questions out of fear of retribution. So I'll get Keith's take on all that coming up at 10 o'clock live on Locked On 76ers, so you don't want to miss that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Back with you guys today for Locked On 76ers, and back with you guys tomorrow for the Farzy Show. And tonight as well, after the Phillies hopefully bounce back and get a win against the Astros tonight at 8:10 for the Locked On Phillies postcast. See you guys.